God doesn't care more about the mission than he does about the leader, the you that's part of the mission. And this is something that's coming through very clearly for me today, because last night I had a dream, and for those of you that have been hanging around me any length of time, you'll know that God speaks to me in dreams. And the dream that I had was I was sitting in a room with a woman, a beautiful black woman. Yeah, like I saw her face. She's so distinct that I think she's a real woman, that she already exists, that she in waking life, but I don't think we've ever met. And she was sat across from me, and she was telling me that her daughter, she'd had to take her daughter to go and be with somebody that she didn't want to be with because of work. You know, she told me that she flies for work. She has to fly to different nations for different meetings, that it was getting in the way, that her work life was making it difficult for her to have her daughter with her full time. And she began to cry. And as she started to cry in the dream, I realized that she'd been carrying all of this weight. She was experiencing the pressure of the mission, and it was costing her dear. Like, she was sacrificing and working herself to the bone to complete the mission, because she felt that she needed to get this done. She needed to be part of this work, that it was important to her, that she was called to it. And in the dream, just before I woke up, I said to her, I don't think I said it to her, but I was thinking, one, I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like to be so driven to make the difference that you're here to make, that you that you sacrifice your family or your relationships in other places, or your health, or your sense, your ability to take part in other things, or just your R&R time, or your self-care, or whatever it is that is sacrificed as a result of you really slogging your way to the mission. So I know what that feels like. And then I thought, well, yeah, I also hear God saying, I'm not Pharaoh. It's not slog out for the mission at any cost. I don't want you dying on the mission field. I want you whole and well, and that's why you need to understand your sovereignty. That's why you need to understand who I say you are, because that slogging out, that sort of slave girl mentality to please your master, and to not let God down, and to be fighting and hustling and striving to hear, well done, my good and faithful servant. Like, that is an identity crisis. That is I'm not saying this very well, am I? But I hope you can catch what I'm trying to convey. That slogging away to please the master and to do what the master has asked you to do is coming from a lower nature. It's coming from a belief that if you don't win, you're going to be in trouble, or there's going to be this angry, wrathful God who's saying, why didn't you get that done? So I think the message today is a reminder for us that God cares about the leader as much as he cares about the mission, like perhaps more. Like, there is not a requirement to die on the mission field, and that slogging, that hustle, that striving mentality, that efforting comes from the sovereignty gap. It comes from a place where you are separated from the love of God, separated from the understanding of how precious you are to him.